Nioh is a game that I can never stop talking about to the ones closest to me in my life. I am always going on and on about the mechanics, and while it does fade in and out of my life and relevancy, I always come back to it every year and get super into it. And this time around, I wanted to put my love in a video to encourage players who haven't played the game to get right into it, as it may be challenging, but it's worth it. To the uninitiated, this game's mechanics may seem like there's so much to it that it'll make your head spin, but don't worry, young Padawan. This game does an excellent job of slowly letting you in on all of its little secrets and all of its goodies. Firstly, starting off with just your weapon, you have a low, medium, and high stance with every single weapon that you get. High stance being able to crush your opponent's ki so that you may get a vulnerable attack on them. Medium stance for large horizontal sweeps and also very good for blocking. And low stance for getting in very quickly and getting out just as quick so that you may dodge being flattened like a pancake. While your high and medium stances do have intended uses, they can be used for much more. As you play the game, you will understand how to utilize each stance in different scenarios and unlock new skills for every stance or that stance specifically. In this little showcase, I will be unlocking an ability that does great ki damage and will allow me to get a vulnerable attack on an opponent. As I fight this revenant, I want you to pay very close attention to my green meter. When I attack, it turns into a red bar, and if I tap RB while the white meter goes up, I will regain some of my ki and keep the momentum of the fight in my favor. I go for a grapple move in this fight, but as you play the game, you might learn different punishes that will be more rewarding than just going for a simple grapple. You will see a demonstration of this later in the video. While the many blades you find in this game are your closest allies, you may also find other objects such as a bow and arrow, a gun, or a cannon. In this scenario, I found a bow which will help me take down an unaware enemy. Yokai can drop a soul core that will give you their abilities. When activating these soul cores, you turn into or use a part of that yokai and change the tide of the battle right before you. As we can see, I am vastly outnumbered here, but activating this one ability changes the tides of the battle into my favor, and I am able to come out of here alive. Bruh! Just kidding, I died. There is also ninjutsu and unmyo magic. Both of these tools can be put into your toolbar and they are used as items. This is a guardian spirit talisman which differentiates depending on which guardian spirit you have equipped. As you can see, you can equip 2 guardian spirits at some point in the game. The sheer depth of this game is overwhelming, so I will not be going into too much detail, but you get the gist. You can combo with these tools as well as your other abilities. There is one final trump card we need to talk about before we continue the showcase. Like all good anime protagonists, you also harness the power of dark energy, or yokai. By shifting into a yokai with your guardian spirit infused with you, you're able to do a lot of damage and keep doing your yokai abilities. There are 3 different types of yokai, and this one is feral, relying on skill and swiftness to get in and get out. There is also phantom and brute, but we will not be covering that today. You can summon your guardian spirit with an unmyo magic talisman, or you can press Y and B while you're in your yokai mode to summon them again, but it will drain your meter just a little bit. While not very flashy, the toolset I'm using in this fight is very easy to follow, and I feel it demonstrates the depths and the choices you get to make throughout all of your fights.
That boy is stuck in time.
While I have not covered Yokai Burst or the Anima Gauge, you need one Anima Gauge meter filled up to be able to use Yokai Burst. A common mistake that I seem to make a lot, and that I'm only speaking from personal experience, is that I seem to burst counter whenever I do not have the resources to do so. This has led to a lot of unnecessary deaths in my playthrough, and I hope you learn from my mistakes that I've made many times. Keep in mind, depending on your yokai type, your counter will look a lot different from feral. Each and every one is unique, and make sure to play around with them to find out what fits your playstyle the best. While you have access to a ton of flashy moves, it is important to remember to pick opponents off one by one or in small groups if you can, because in this situation, had I done that and lured them with my kunai and taken out my ranged opponents with my gun, I might have had a better shot at winning this battle, but I got sliced down. You are just one person, so to minimize frustration, try your best to pick your opponents off when learning the game. These enemies are very sneaky and can be tricky, and sometimes you're not even aware of how many opponents are there. You may die a lot, but just remember to never give up and always learn from your mistakes. That goes with anything you may learn, but it is especially important in Nioh, as the effort you put in is so worth the satisfaction you get out of the game. Dodging in your low stance costs the least amount of ki to do, and it is important to switch to your low stance when you want to reposition yourself, as you can guard and dodge around while you are in low stance. So if you get hit in the middle of your dodge, you will deflect it, or your guard will break, but it's a lot better than taking a hit most of the time. You can also get rid of your end lag with your item use abilities by using a yokai ability or your yokai burst counter. You can also use this in situations where you run out of ki, as using a yokai ability does not require ki, and your ki will regain while you are using your yokai ability. This allows you to always stay on the offensive if you have enough anima to do it. One thing I always see from beginners is that they're worried about their build, but truth be told, your build doesn't matter until you start getting to the underworld. This build is somewhat well-rounded, and I'm able to do what I want to do, but if I want to change my weapon on the flip of a dime, I can do that as well and experiment. The stats that I have are simply to get the buffs and the armor enhancements that you get from the game. That's simply all this build does. The dexterity is for the ninjutsu I want to do, and the Nioh magic is for the magic that I want to carry as well. All these stats you can really fine tune to the way that you want it. Don't be afraid to pick up a new weapon, as your stats and the scaling is not that important until you get to the underworld depths. And even then, when you get to the depths, you can change what a weapon scales with through enhancements and tempering it. Well, that is going to do it for this video. Truth be told, I am a little rusty, but I wanted to show my love for this game at an enthusiast sort of level instead of the super intimidating what 2,000 hours worth of Nioh 2 looks like type of video. I wanted this to be an entry level video. While I am still learning the game, I was able to pick things back up and learn the vocabulary again, and I had a lot of fun making it. I hope you enjoyed watching it, and I hope somebody starts this game because of this video.
Nioh.